We've got Nick Baxter with us again tonight. I flipped the tables back on him again. We're going to catch up with Nick because we all kicked off the Leaders Insights with me interviewing Nick, and that's what, 7 weeks ago now? 8 weeks ago? 7 weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't
8 weeks ago.
Hey?
7 or 8 weeks.
Yeah. 7.5.
But there's one thing you can be definitely sure of is that everyone's lost all track of measuring time.
Yeah, I know.
Days and weeks.
It's crazy. Everything. It's like when you're on your summer holidays. Weirdly, it's kind of the flip side of that though, because for us we're just very busy, so it's all like molded into one. It goes from early starts, work, getting into the kids, late ends with work, sleep, wake up, do the same again, and then before you know it, it's Saturday again.
So true.
Yeah.
It is.
Or 7. Yeah. It's been an epic 8 weeks or 7. Yeah, we're going to go with 7.5. I think that's the official 7.5. So what we're going to do tonight is we're just going to catch up with Nick. There's so much has happened since we've last spoken. There's so much has evolved in the economics of things. There's so much evolved in the policy of things. We still are in a bit of a limbo though. To be honest, we don't know much more. We do know today that Matt Hancock has said anybody over 5 who had symptoms of coronavirus can now get a test. 100,000 tests done yesterday. So, it looks like people can actually start getting tests. Now, how long it take for us all to have had our tests is another guess. But I guess that's in the right direction. We'll talk about that tonight. We'll catch up around that, see what you're thinking. But yes, just to get stuck in with another Leaders Insights. Everybody who's on here now, we can just get some likes and shares. And always, if you've got questions, chuck them in here straight away. I'll try and share as many as I can as we're unfolding. But essentially, we're here with Nick, so let's get stuck in. We asked when we first met Nick, we asked you what was your oh my god moment. Yeah, that's obviously there's probably been a couple since then. What's been your have you had any more oh my god moments, and what have they looked like?
Yeah. So initially, when we did the first interview, my OMG moment was at Cheltenham when I realised that just a sheer volume of people in one place, should anyone be contaminated or the risk of infecting anyone, it would just spread like wildfire. And I think the second oh my god moment was certainly when we were put in lockdown. So there was a great deal of speculation around what the impact might look like to health, more importantly, then the economy secondly, and it transpired really quickly that the only way to really contain it was to kind of put us in lockdown. And we'd seen what happened, hadn't we, in Italy and Spain, and I think we kind of So that was I suppose that was a big one. That big OMG moment was we're in lockdown. And I suppose the last OMG moment would have been about 3 or 4 weeks into lockdown, because the standard Nick Baxter optimism thought we'd be in lockdown for a month. And then after a month passed, that was the OMG moment. All right, okay, we've really got to batten down the hatches now. We've really got to get the sandbanks out. This isn't going anywhere very quickly.
Yeah. How's it been since then? I mean, we still don't know. It's been 2 months, probably a minimum of another month. Is that what you're thinking now? You're thinking a month yourself?
I don't know anymore, mate. I don't know. I'm like, I've made lots of assumptions and predictions, and none of them have come true. In terms of what's happened, I suppose we've just now got some semblance of the new normality. So like everyone else, we're kind of found ourselves in new routines and new rituals and a new way of living and a new way of interacting, and we're being really stoic. We're being typically British and stoic and just getting on with it. The grit that's come out of the community and the wider across the country has been spectacular. So even though a lot of people aren't a fan of the new normal, we're getting on with it, and there's only one way to get on with it. We've got to be compliant. We've got to stick to the rules, and we've got to trust in our leaders that they're leading us down the right path, and we're going to the sooner we can get through this, the sooner we can get back to the new normal. And I think one thing's apparent: the old normal's gone, which is it's great to take people out of their comfort zone every now and again. This is quite cataclysmic, but yeah, the old normal has gone. The new normal is going to revolve around an economic downturn of some degree. There's going to be an upturn as well. Obviously, when we get back, there's going to be some degree of bottlenecks everywhere in people's supply chain, and there's certainly going to be a different way of working, whether that's from home, and then when we are working together, there's going to be some level of detachment in terms of social distancing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've got to watch, haven't we? We've got to see what's happening around Europe now, see how the lockdown's lifting, see what sort of impact that has, see if there's more peaks. That will give us a better picture. But right now, we're all just waiting. We all just want to see what that exit strategy looks like. But how can we right now? We don't know anymore, really. I agree. I think things are going to change in the short term. I just don't know. I can't see how we're going to have to keep social distancing and still have. I mean, you think about the services industry alone. How are we going to be able to be normal if you're implementing social distancing? It's just not. It's not possible. It's not going to be possible in any business, I don't think. But I do think there'll be innovative ways of people finding, common ground between social distancing and being able to put their business back into play, if you like. But that's the thing. We all, when we're always up against it, we always have the most innovation when we're backs against the wall type thing. With that in mind, I mean, talking innovation, what precautionary measures have you taken? It was very early on when we first spoke to you 7.5 weeks ago now, but what precautions have you taken since then?
So pretty much nothing's really changed, really. I've 3/4 of the staff, 2/3, 3/4 have been furloughed. We've got a third left that are operational, particularly in markets that are still having some level of activity, principally construction. We're used to the new normal, so we committed to a new CRM system before this had happened, and we were toying with the idea of some rebranding and some marketing, which we decided to invest in. We catch up. Obviously, the guys that are furloughed can't work, so we literally, the last 2 weeks of work, before I knew I was going to furlough the guys, we just got everybody migrating all of the old information from the old CRM system across to the new CRM system. And we started garnering everyone's opinions around our value proposition, how that would change, how we communicate that as we were liaising with our marketing consultants. And then the guys that are furloughed, every day we catch up at 10 o'clock every morning for a catch up with the guys, do a catch up with everyone. We do a little training session. There's a industry network that I'm part of, the recruitment in lockdown, and they do some really cool webinars, blogs, training videos. So the guys have kept themselves relatively stimulated. I've implored them to learn some new skills, read and learn a language, get out and about. So yeah, nothing's really changed since then, really, apart from the getting used to this new normality. We love catching up. We've always had a really tight team. We're renowned for having a really strong culture, which is what you'd expect for someone that owns a recruitment and an employee engagement business. But we've got some tight people, and that's will have bought us some time. Having spoke to a number of clients that have been trying to reorganize their culture prior to this, they've really found it really difficult to keep everyone empowered and engaged and on this journey, because it's tough. And when you're furloughed, you don't have to engage with your employers. The only thing you can do is train. So it's been really hard to get people to get their team, get unity during this. But I've been really fortunate. I've been very blessed. As I said before, I said to my business coach before this, this is the best team I'd love to go into this situation with. They're the strongest team, they're the best characters, they're experts in their field, and they're passionate about what they do. So those characteristics have helped them get through. It's been tough, and we've got a couple of wobbles with a few guys in the team, and it's been really tough on everybody. But we've been all right, mate. We've been, we fared a lot better than I thought we would, and we fared a lot better than other people. And whether the worst is yet to come, we're ready now. The sandbanks are up, and we've got our hard hats on, ready for whatever's going to come over the next 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, that's good. It's a good position to be in, and that's it. and upskilling the guys, even though they're furloughed right now, is another trick up your sleeve too. And everybody that's on here right now, if we can get some love hearts, and if you've got any questions, please share away. I've actually got a bit of a surprise for everybody as well, but I want us to get past 25 viewers on here at once before we share our little surprise. And if we don't make it, we might not even share the surprise.
Come on, guys.
But I am going to touch on some, because we've been running a survey from IsoNation. We've got the results of that in now. That survey ran through April. We've also been compiling some of the information that we've been getting in Leaders Insights and some of the insights that's being shared. But I am going to go and jump into some of the survey stats at the moment. I'm not going to give away the full surprise yet, because we still need to get those shares and likes up, and we need to get those up. If everybody that was on the show now shared this show, I reckon we'd break past 10. If everybody then shared it, we'd break past 20. You know where I'm going.
Yep.
Everybody on here now shares to your groups. If you're part of any business groups,
I'm going to do it
away. But we have had something that's been found through our main survey that we ran, which was, running all the way through April. Obviously, we had a lot of people talking to us about, there was a lot of feedback around the number of people that have furloughed staff. Yep. Our survey shows it at around 54% of those who took part of the survey have furloughed staff. But more interestingly, or more worryingly, because we know those sort of stats now, everybody's covered the furloughing side. Everybody's looked at that. Everybody's looked at the number of people on furlough. We've had some crazy numbers out there with some people saying up to 75% of adults are currently furloughed. We found that 55% of the people that took part have furloughed staff. But more worryingly, potentially, is that of the furloughed staff, they're only expecting to reactivate around 60% of their current workforces. And we've had more than 100 people take part in this survey. So it's not a massive survey, but it's certainly not something to ignore. So that, I don't know how you feel about that right now, but I've seen today as well in the news that there's 6 million people currently fearing that they will have a job at the end of all this. That's not really, we're going to probably add those two together. Not going to be too far off. So how do you feel about that and that survey result?
So first of all, I saw the results of that survey. Really impressive, and you're right. They're not numbers or stats you can ignore. I've spoke to a number of people. Across a number of sectors. Obviously, as a recruiter, I speak to people across a number of verticals across the country. And today I was speaking to an insolvency practitioner about supporting them, because they think there's going to be obviously an upturn come the back end of the summer. There is also some mutings that the furlough scheme is, because remember, the furlough scheme was there to stop people from making people redundant, because the tap had been turned off within their respective markets, or regarding revenue streams and business and income. So I have heard some mutings that it is only delaying the inevitable. There are a number of people that were made redundant, and if they were made redundant within a certain time frame, then they were furloughed. I've got a number of candidates that we were represented at Baxter Williams that were on notice periods. A lot of their roles have been put on hold, and so they were been really fortunate. Not every single person has been furloughed. So furlough for me is holding on to my guys till the marketplace turns. But I've got 12 people, so it's a very small business in comparison. For some people, it may well be, let's keep an income going for these guys while the government are underpinning 80% of their salaries. But when it turns, we might not have enough business to justify, or enough income to justify keeping the guys. So it's a stat which probably everyone's skirting over at the moment. I think it's really prevalent that was highlighted in the survey. And actually, a really good question. Actually, in hindsight, I probably wouldn't have asked that question in terms of how many people you think you're going to keep. So let's hope that. I completed the Goldman Sachs 10,000 small business high growth program. Graduated from Oxford University in January. It was amazing, great experience. And on the back of that, now I'm alumni of the GS 10K program. We get involved in a whole host of different things, and they offered a mentor and I had a vice president from Merchant Bank come and talk to me about some, to kind of find out how we're getting on and advise. And they weren't underly optimistic. They said that what's going to happen is as soon as we do come back, there's going to be a sharp rise. It might, instead of it being a gradual rise like you do most downturns, economic downturns, because obviously the reason for the downturn is because of a pandemic. As soon as we get back to normal or new normality, there'll be a sharp rise. So they were relatively optimistic about what it might look like. So that 60% might not turn 60%. I think the apprehension and the reason for that 60% is probably because they can't see a future, because they can't see a way through it. And I think the uncertainty will breed a degree of, negativity around what the future might hold based on everyone being holed up for the last 7 weeks.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And we got to wait and see. It's definitely people saying, I think that's got to be a worst case scenario, surely. Out of everybody that was took part in the survey, they both predicted that the most effective industries would be food and beverage and hospitality and leisure industries, which we've already seen as well. And there were predictions around furloughed staff, and they all related to those two industries too. So more hospitality and leisure in that sense though. I'm just having a look through the survey results now. I'm just seeing if there's anything that we want to pick out or pick out specifically for now. One that we talked about actually was the recovery, how long people thought it would take. And 3 out of 5 people thought the recovery will take 2 to 3 years. I don't know how you think about that one.
And recovery, I'm assuming by recovery, Christian, you're saying that we're going to get back to the levels that we were at prior to this.
Back to pre-pandemic levels.
Yeah, I think that's probably a decent estimation. Some people will bounce back quicker, as usual. Some people will take a bit longer. So with all those stats, if you're going to cut through, I'd probably say 2 to 3 years. But the only way you can make a really accurate prediction is to understand how long we're going to be in this and what it looks like at the back end. So if we know that we're in it for another 6 weeks of lockdown and then we're back, and then we know the economy is affected by 30-40%, it'll be a little bit easier to predict when we're going to come back. So again, it may be accurate, it may not be, but as an estimation, I'd probably err on the side of caution and say, that doesn't seem a million miles away. And like everyone, we've talked about it. As part of the Goldman Sachs alumni, there's a re-imaging of businesses. They've done a little month-long refresher for the guys that were on the cohort, and they're talking about re-imaging their people's businesses and what they're going to do to change their business, whether they pivot, whether they change completely. But that level of agility is really going to be important for people. So on the back end of that agility comes that ability to not have all your eggs in one basket. And I suspect if you're in primary industry or you're in an industry that relies solely on something that's been heavily affected, there's only so much you can do to diversify. There's only so much you can do. Whereas there's some younger businesses that can use innovation tech or an agility, an agile workforce to look at other opportunities. And that will help even the recovery out.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm erring. I don't know around recovery at all at the moment. I think we will always surprise ourselves
Indeed.
To be honest, and that's the way I look at it. I like to look at things positively, maybe, but I do think we'll always surprise ourselves. So if you could say now it's definitely going to be 3 years, I think we'd do it in 2.5 or something like that. But
beautiful.
What I do worry about is the debt. I do worry about the amount that is being borrowed, and as we touched on furlough as well. I don't know if there's anybody watching right now who's been furloughed themselves. If you are, please let us know what it's like. We'd love to hear from somebody who's currently on furlough. But for me, the furlough scheme worries me. We're looking at 360 billion. Is that the number we're at the moment? 360 billion in deficit this year, which is 6 times, or more than 6 times, 7 times the debt we were in after the Second World War. So we're talking about the Second World War, which went on for 5 years and covered that, and that's relative as well. That's a relative number there. So we're talking about something that spent 5 years, cost 55 billion, and then in 2 months we've lost 360. We didn't pay off that debt for World War II until 2006. That's 4 generations that are working towards paying off that debt. And now we've got something 7 times that. So how many generations are going to be working to pay this off? That's my fear at the moment. In terms of recovery and things, I do think we will surprise ourselves.
Yeah, and you know what? It is what it is. Listen, the most important thing is that we stem the flow of deaths. The most important thing is that we keep everyone safe, everyone's compliant, everybody follows the rules, so we can come out of this as unscathed from a death toll perspective as possible. You're right. We'll make do and we'll get on with it, and we'll cut some corners to make sure that we shave this off. And if there's debt for a while, there's debt for a while. There's lots of lessons that will be learned from this. There's loads of innovation that will come out the back of it. There's loads of sectors that will emerge on the back of it. There's loads of changing working practices which will create some efficiencies in the economy. I know you're not doing that to dwell on what the future is going to look like in terms of paying that debt off, but it's going to be what it is. And if it means that income tax rises or corporation tax rises or some form of, the government can't plough all of this money to prop the economy up without wanting to take it back at some stage. And I'd rather them take it back when the economic landscape looks better than it does now, than for us to kind of just say, well, listen, you're all on your own. There are no life jackets. There are no lifeboats. There are no buoyancy aids. If you can swim and get through this, fair play. If you can't, then, unfortunately we can't help. On the back of what we came out of, the back of the Second World War, we had that level of unity and all of the benefits that come from, collective going through something really challenging and creating that collective coming through the back end of it. There's going to be so much equity and there's so much goodwill in that hopefully, we'll be able to rally around and clear that debt as soon as possible. We're always going to have some debt, and there's always going to be something that kind of lags onto the economy. I suppose, as you said before, we've got to have the right mindset coming out of it, really. The right leadership.
Yeah, how we deal with it, because every country is going to be the same. Every country is in the exact same boat right now. We're all equal in that sense, but there's different. It's how it comes together now, really, isn't it? It's how it comes together. We in this country, I don't think, can suffer much more of the idea of austerity in terms of because other countries might have areas to cut. We won't have those areas to cut.
Not much fat. No, you're right.
But I don't think it's a negative necessarily. I think it just means that we need to be innovative. We need to be more efficient. We need to be accountable as well. Accountability is a big part of all this going forward. There is not going to be any, that whole idea of a blank check isn't going to exist for a while, and we need to be efficient with how we're spending money, how we're working. And I think there's also going to be a shift. Personally, I think there's going to be a shift in our efficiency around time. I think there's going to be a big cultural shift as a result of this. I'm hoping it's all positive. I do think there's going to be some negative impacts from it, and there will be some turbulence in years to come. But I think generally it's going to be, so long as we can drive efficiencies in terms of our spends, we can drive efficiencies in terms of processes, but we also drive efficiencies in terms of our time. We've all realized how much we enjoy spending time with the kids, right? We're still there. Are we still there?
No,
it's not just about business anymore. It's not just about driving efficiencies in business. It's about reevaluating how we're living, how we're surviving, our work-life balance, what it means, what's important. Are we living to work? Are we working to live, etc., etc. I do think there's going to be a bit more of a cultural shift around that. And although we'll drive efficiencies elsewhere, we'll also drive efficiencies in our own world, so that we're efficient with our time, so we can spend more of our time doing what we want, essentially, what we enjoy, what we're hardwired to want to do.
I agree. Listen, everyone's perspective is changing. If you ask people what was really important to them, there would have been a certain sector of the community which would have been about achieving and materialistic things. And actually, you know, what's really important now is spending time with your, if you can, like spending time with your loved ones, your immediate family, and actually makes you realize how much you value the people that are really close to you, that you can't hug, you can't give it to, that you can't go around and share food and drink with. So hopefully that will create a new perspective, and hopefully not just from the way we live, but also the way we work as well. I think there's definitely going to be a massive shift, and no doubt we'll probably talk about that later in terms of the good stuff that's come out of it, because there's loads of really cool stuff that's come out of this. Even the worst thing that's come out of it is the loss of life. The worst thing that's come out of it is the economic downturn. But there's some other stuff that's come out of it which has just really created a fresh new perspective for people. It's really created a really, really nice way of looking at life and around what's really important. And the only problem is, you know, as human beings, we forget very quickly. And so I'm just hoping
we don't try and avoid that this time. But
you know, like, listen, everybody wanted that holiday abroad. I can't think of anything better than just literally going down to the coast in Salcombe or somewhere in Norfolk and just enjoying some good British holiday weather, even if it's not great weather. Just being in Blighty, you know, just being able to get outside of your county or your postcode and just enjoying another aspect of life. We got, you know, technology and money gives us access to some stuff that we don't appreciate. Some of the stuff we've got. You know, we've been, especially in the last week when we've been lifted, we can go out and about. We've been in Licky Hills, we've been in Malvern Hills. We've been some crazy places all within half an hour of Worcester that are just amazing, which, you know, you just skirt over because you can rock into town and go to Yo Sushi or go to town, or, you know, we need to just be a little, you know, it's
for money, basically. That's
exactly. So this has given us a really good chance to see what's really important and access to really simple things in life. And I for one are going to remember this, and it's going to, you know, I'm going to save a hell of a lot more money, let me tell you, and I'm going to need to, but, you know, it's going to bring families closer, build on relationships, and I think so. I think that's one of the really good things to come out of it.
Yeah, I agree. Interesting. One of our survey questions was based on your experiences during lockdown, actually, the first one was, do you think lockdown has affected team morale for anyone still working? 82% of people felt that it had affected team morale, which is, you know, something that we've addressed with IsoNation a number of times and has been something that everybody's spoken about to a degree. But then interestingly, another question was, based on your experiences of lockdown, are you more inclined to allow work from home in the future? So that was another big yes at 74%. Was a yes for that. So that's the interesting thing. I don't think it's the work from home. I don't think it's necessarily that. It's the fact that you can't get out. That was the thing that affected me the most. And this last week it's been different. And if we do change that, if we do evolve in how we work and we are working more from home in the future, I think that's going to become even more of a important thing. You know, you don't want to go into town to go to Yo Sushi. You're going to want to get out into the open air. You want to go to the Malvern Hills. You want to go to the Licky Hills, like you've just mentioned. You know, you want to get onto the malls, wherever you may be. You want to go and see the horizon, basically. I think that's what, certainly among my friends, that's something that's come out quite a lot, is that people miss the horizon.
Yeah, and you know what? I think I agree with you. Going back to the motivation piece, as so my guys that are still working are incredibly motivated. One of them, who's my performance and operations manager, we're just doing so much really cool stuff around making sure the business is in a great spot, making sure we're communicating the right way, making sure that our brand is known to new people, because there'll be a whole host of new clients out there. So they're really passionate about doing what they're doing. The other people are working within the construction space, which is still recruiting. Particularly, we're supporting a number of the NHS and key worker sectors. So they're still really bought in. And the guys who are in lockdown, they're really keen to find out what's still going on in the business. So I think it depends. Listen, if you had a really good culture before this, you're going to be in a really good spot to be able to deal with this. If you didn't, and let me tell you, the cracks will start showing. That, you know, there's a thin veil of normality when you've got business coming in, you've got income coming in, everyone's getting paid, and there's customers that want to trade with you. Now that it's become prevalent that there's not going to be much income or significantly reduced for a number of months for a lot of people, the cracks will start to show, and the unhappy people will start to disengage and be unmotivated, and it's harder to reach them. So I probably caveat that stat with, it's probably a really great indicator of where you were before. However, it may well just be that some people are really struggling. Listen, a lot of people have got mental health struggles. It's not stigma attached anymore to that. You can talk about it, and there are a number of people that I've spoke to in through the clients I've been working with, and the guys have really struggled with it. Single people, not able to see their family. It's a real difficult time. We've got the solace, whilst we don't think it's a solace, of having our crazy kids running through most of our Zoom meetings whenever we're catching up. Christian, at least they're here. We can give them a kiss and a hug. Yeah. We can put them to bed, and we can, as painful, exactly. 6:30 in the morning, my kids jump all over me and my wife in bed. I wouldn't give it up for the world. And there's some people that haven't got that connection. There's some people that haven't got that contact, and that's difficult. Human beings like contact. So it could be the culture's poor. It could be that the staff are just struggling. Like I always say, it's always good to talk. And if you're struggling with engagement with you guys, talk to them. It's going to be a root issue. Get to the root of it and see if you can address it. You're not going to be able to fix it in lockdown, but at least if you address it and you all talk, and it's a problem shared is a problem halved, it really does. It does matter. So it's going to be difficult motivating those guys. I know we spoke with Graham around techniques to motivate the staff and keep them engaged, and we talk about it with our weekly well-being feature around making sure that leaders are looking after their mental, physical and emotional needs. I think more than anything, it's prevalent that we stay on top of that, and that doesn't get brushed under the carpet.
Yeah, definitely, because it is going to become even more. Well, it is important right now. It's the one thing that's keeping us all sane. So I'd be interested to know how much money people have saved during lockdown, asks Bethany, or if people have spent more by doing online shopping, etc. I don't know, Beth. Has everybody saved? Has everybody spent? Have you been doing your online shopping? I've certainly noticed how my shopping bills have gone up by doing it online and doing the click and collect. I'll say that. Save money, yes, I suppose. No yo sushis, that's for sure. I'm
probably about even. So we've worked out that our shopping costs more money, because when you're shopping, you've got a chance to have a look around. We normally shop at 2 supermarkets, and
you sort of have a muse, don't you?
But now when you just got to go in and out, you kind of go in and out, bulk as much as you. Get as much different stuff, and not bulk buying lots of the same thing, but get as much different stuff as you can and literally shoot back. So my shopping bills have definitely escalated, but we don't eat that anymore with the kids and just looking for a place to go. We eat that a couple of times a week, and that mounts up. So we definitely haven't done that. I have found probably more doing a little bit more Amazon, but that seems to be more kids based. How about you?
No, really. Probably the same, Definitely, we used to eat out probably once a week. And I don't know if I'll go back to that, because it's not actually that fun when you got your little ones. You just end up, you either got to put them on the phone, and then you feel guilty because they're just sat there. Like literally getting the ice cream. It's all about feeding them the main course, getting the ice cream, and you've got to get 3 courses in while they nail the ice cream.
Very true. And the worst thing is,
suggestion, you're just exhausted.
It's so true. Like, you know what? It's so funny. You do it, and then you just say never again, and then you forget. 2 months later, you rock up, and halfway through the starters, you regret it already.
Yeah. I just think I'm looking forward to having a pint. I'm not going to lie about that. I'm looking forward to having that freshly pulled pint. She spent more on food shopping in the supermarket, but less on coffee, sandwiches, etc. Less on general rubbish. Amen to that. Rachel also asked the question, do you think many businesses will return to their offices soon or continue to work from home?
You're not allowed to go back to your office if you can work from home safely. So anyone that's going back to their office, if they can work from home safely, shouldn't be in their office. And the only reason I say that so vehemently is because I said, oh yeah, brilliant. We can, we make the office nice and safe. And the guys were like, well, actually, we can work from home, so we don't need to. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So yeah, you shouldn't really go to the office unless you can't work from home. And I think what will happen is, I think I mentioned it on a couple of the Leaders Insights. A couple of my clients have given notice on their second office or their third office because what they're going to do is hot desk. And so I think we'll probably do a similar thing. Everyone in my business, we've been able to work from home anyway since day dot. But what's really nice is a Monday, having a roundup on a Monday, we're in a sales environment, having a nice roundup to review what's happened in the week before, celebrate all the successes and address any of the challenges. I think that will still be the case. You'll probably want a one or 2 week weekly roundup. And then the rest of the time, you got to listen. I found from a lot of more established primary industries or from a lot of established organizations or from family organizations, second, third generation businesses, there's less flexibility around working from home. There's less flexibility around flexi time. And I think it emanates from trust. I know it emanates from trust. And a lot of it's misplaced, is trust. One thing has happened. We've had to work from home. We've had to trust. We've had to give people the opportunity to deliver remotely. And I think in the 90s percentiles, most people are happy. Most people are content. Most people feel like everybody's plugged, really plugged in and engaged and worked hard. And I know, listen, it's different when you know that the business is at stake if you don't muck in and put all hands to the deck. And I think that's been quite a high proportion of productivity. But generally, I think people have been trusted. So that will change. What I'm trying to say in a long-winded way is say that will change moving forwards, and you will get more people working from home. People still want to interact and to contact, but the video, Zoom have cleaned up. A lot of video conference, Skype and Zoom must have cleaned up during this process. And actually, beyond the economics of them benefiting, what's happened is people have really been able to be as efficient and as productive and as effective with video technology.
Yeah, and that's it. It's definitely been a catalyst. I think, we've touched on the culture thing. I've got some great news, everybody. We have literally just launched it. We didn't get I want some likes and shares. I want some love hearts. I want lots of shares. I want to get the message out there that our ebook is now live. So this ebook is a culmination of everything that we've learned, essentially, over the course of our 11 Leaders Insights interviews. And other numerous stuff that's been going on IsoNation, because it's not just the Leaders Insights. Leaders Insights is our primary show, but we have other things going on as well. And our ebook is a combination of everything we've learned. So you've got some you've got expert insight, overview on franchisees, from some key workers, from marketing and comms, from construction, from recruitment with Nick here. It's full of gold. So have a crack at it, have a look, download. If you like it, share it, get it out there as much as possible. We want to help as many businesses as possible, and it's full of insight that should help some people steer through these turbulent waters that we currently find ourselves in. Nick, I think I'm going to ask you one more question, and then we'll call it a night, because it's already 8:45, I've just seen. So the one that we always round up on, specifically for your industry, is how we normally open it. But generally now, because you've answered this before, what good can come from this? I think we've covered a fair bit on this show already tonight. But Samara, if you will, what do you think? What good will come from this lockdown?
All right, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'm going to bullet point this bad boy. I think community spirit. Neighbourly love, more respect for our elders, recognition of key workers and support workers who normally in the NHS who normally aren't the best paid in the scheme of things. That needs to be addressed moving forwards. Key workers, people that historically people haven't respected what they do. These guys have kept the economy, kept the wheels in motion. Local shopping locally. Massive one. I've been using Narroway's Butchers in Worcester, and I've always used Narroway's in between my supermarket shop. I'm not going back to the supermarket anymore. The meats, the cuts, it's more, you know, it lasts longer. It's better quality meat. You feel better after eating. What else is coming from it? Flexibility to work from home. And the big one for me is appreciating your lot. You know, human beings need to be more mindful, need to be more present, need to be more appreciative of what they've got. And human beings operate in three spaces: those that worry about the past and live in a space of regret, those that are never happy with the current and always anxious about the future and what that holds. And then you just need to be present, man. You just need to be in the moment, appreciating what you've got. So without sounding too spiritual on that one, they're the things that I think are going to come from this. And there's loads of positives to come from this. And in typical British stoic fashion, we're going to be all right in the end. We're going to be fine. Tough times, but we're going to be fine. And if we've got, listen, what you've created with IsoNation is around network. And I think those that are surviving, those that are keeping their head above water, have got a network. They've got a sense of community. They've got a collective they can reach out to, and they can wrap an arm around them and provide them with that support beyond the four walls of your home, beyond the family. You need that network. And I think we've created a bigger, wider network in the UK in terms of what we've got around Thursday nights at 8 o'clock, everyone clapping. Our network has become bigger, our families become bigger. And as long as we use that and we help each other and we continue to be kind and to help each other and to look out for each other, then, you know, we're going to be all right, bro.
Yeah. Lovely words to end on. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thanks again, Nick. You'll be on again soon with another Leaders Insights yourself. If we can get some love hearts from Nick taking his time out again just to share his thoughts and opinions. And as I say, don't forget to hit that link, get over to the link and download the ebook now. Have a gander, get it out there, and share the love. Help as many people as we possibly can. Thank you for joining us all. I'll say goodbye. Do you want to say goodbye, Nick?
Yeah. Big thank you to yourself, Rachel and Gemma, and all the guys at Bedford Market, all the guys at Nifty. IsoNation is I've just been amazed. I've been absolutely blown away by the comments, support, and how many people we've reached. And we didn't talk about it today. There's going to be a future for IsoNation. We'll talk about it in the next one. And I look forward to catching up with everyone on Friday on Weekly Wellbeing.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your kind words as well. Thank you, everybody. Have a lovely night.